What if you could take that risk, make that change, reach that goal, live your best life? Welcome to another episode of the What If You Could podcast, where we get together with amazing experts and everyday people who share challenges, encourage healing, and explore the possibilities that life has to offer. I'm your host, Gary Scott, and I'm excited that you're along for the ride. Welcome back, Dr. Karen Vizer, where today we're going to discuss shifting the energy from not mattering to mattering and how Dr. Karen Vizer helps you get there. But before we get to it, I just wanted to thank you again for listening, watching, and just being there with us. And please, no matter where you are or which platform you may be watching or listening to this on, if you would please do us a favor and like, share, subscribe, or just let us know how you think we're doing and if you're enjoying the content and the people that we're sharing. So thank you again. And now, welcome back to What If You Could podcast with Dr. Karen Vizer. Right.
Create
Wow.
everywhere you go.
Yeah.
I just for me, it simplifies everything. What do I need to do? I need to be love. I get to be love.
You know, it's like some guy posted on Facebook something. I put some post, and he put on there, why don't we just choose love? I mean, why don't we just work on loving each other? I'm like, dude, it's so brilliant and it's so simple, but we're just so inundated with such negativity and anger and fighting, and everyone's triggered that it's such a battle. And so it makes me think of what you put here, using that about empowering clients to crush self-doubt and design identities. I'm going to say that again: design identities based on being rather than doing. So that ties in exactly with what you said about just why don't we just do love, and then that'll kick the poop out of all those 700,000 negative, right? So if you can design identities based on being rather than doing, you could focus that. But how on earth how do you do that? How do you
Well,
get us to do that?
it's by design. How do I do that? Well, it starts with someone having a desire. My desire is to be the very best significance coach, identity coach on the planet. And I am. And that's who I am. That's how I show up every day. And am I perfect? No. Do I have days where I'm like, oh, where'd Karen go? Yep. But I'm being very intentional. I wake up in the morning and I ask myself, what do I want to create today? I don't watch television. Television is one of they call it programming for a reason. If you want to reduce your negativity, turn the TV off.
Yep.
Go out in nature, sit by a tree, get quiet, listen to your soul, listen to what's speaking to you. And we have these things. We have a posture of victim or a posture of owner of our experience. And the victim mentality is that you're the victim of circumstance, people and things are happening to you. And the opposite is, the contrast is to be the owner of your experience, to assume that you are 100% responsible for your creation. You're always creating, you're never not creating. And so if you know that, what are you going to create today? And so I daily, I'm like, okay, how can I serve? Who can I serve? And so all of what I've done all of my life has been, I think, leading me to this idea of identity and how important identity is. And it's important also because it's not who you think you are, but it might be who you think you're not. And I coached a woman who was in a network marketing company, and she really desired to become a leader in that company. She loved the product. She loved the opportunity. She was in love with the whole thing, and she couldn't get anywhere. And it was because she had this identity. I'm not a network marketer. So we had to unpack, what does that mean? People have crazy meaning. Like, I worked with a client last night, and she did not like affection. And we unpacked it. What does affection mean? Well, affection to her meant that she wasn't safe, that she was going to lose herself, that she was going to compromise herself, that she was going to be out of control. So she had a posture that I can't be affectionate because affection is dangerous. Now, when we shift that, and she can now choose to be affectionate when she wants to, without having this background noise, this bad software on her human computer, because that's what it really is. It's about upgrading the software on your human computer, on your human operating system. When she doesn't have that background noise operating anymore, she can be affectionate when she chooses to be affectionate without being fearful of affection. And so it's really simple. I think we overcomplicate things. I think people think it has to take a long time to get somewhere, and it doesn't. We can collapse time, but the way to do that is to get really clear about what you want, what you desire. Actually, I like the word desire better, because want implies lack, where desire is your soul, it's God, it's spirit, it's source, it's consciousness speaking to you, pulling you forward. Because every one of us has a gift. Every one of us has magic to share. Every one of us is a piece of the puzzle. And every one of us has something to offer to humanity. And that's why I say you matter. Everything you say and do matters. Everything you want matters. There's a great book by Andy Andrews called The Butterfly Effect. It's a really fast read. It's a little book. It's about,
Yeah.
I don't know, a 40-minute read, maybe, if
It's on the
that.
shelf.
Yeah, and if you read that book, you'll start to understand. There's another great book that I would recommend to your viewers, Gary, which is called The Gentle Art of Blessing. And that's by a man named Pierre Pradervan, Pradervand. He's French. And you can use
Gentle Art of Blessing.
Yeah, blessing
Put that
is a
on the
lost
website.
art.
Yeah.
It's a lost art. And when you start blessing everything, because again, you're responsible for all your creations. So when you start blessing it, blessing is a positive vibration. So you can bless someone in your life for, I had a situation with a family member where he got very rude and very nasty with me. And I left the event that I was at, and I went home, and it takes a lot to get me ticked off. And I was pretty much fuming. But they sat down and they said, wait a minute, this isn't serving me. This is not where I want to be. This is not where I live. And so I started doing the blessing and started just blessing him for being the great parent that he is, for being so welcoming to people in his home, for being so kind to people, for being so loving, for being, so I started and blessing him for, you can bless people for attributes that you're not experiencing in them. And guess what? And this person had never apologized. I mean, I've known this person over 40 years and never heard him apologize to anyone for anything. And that was the case with many other people. He came to me a couple days later and apologized. And I was in shock when he did. And I was like, speechless. And then he said to me, he got right in my face, "Did you hear me?" And I go, yeah, thank you. I was just, but I was
you were in such shock.
Yeah. And so I share that story because it illustrates how powerful we are. We think we're powerless. We think we're victims. That's a program. And from that program, you can't create magic. But the minute you say, I'm not living there anymore, I'm going to live in my creation. I'm going to be 100% responsible for everything I experience. And the first time I heard those words, I was like, you got to be crazy. I'm not responsible for what's going on over there or over there or over there. But what I came to learn is that we all create our own reality. And so if I create my own reality, where do I live? I live in a place where there's love, where there's peace, where there's joy, where there's connection, where there's passion, where there's purpose, where there's hope. That's where I choose to live. There are almost 8 billion people on the planet. Those 8 billion people have free will. They get to choose what they want. I don't get to judge it. No one deserves my judgment, including me. No one deserves my judgment, including me. And so if I think all events are neutral, no one deserves my judgment, including me. Everyone deserves my love, including me. Then that's a game changer.
Yeah.
If that's how I operate.
That is awesome what you just said, because it gives you permission to forgive yourself, stop
Mm-hmm.
judging yourself. But you touched on so many things here. One of my favorite sayings that I've had my whole life, and I'm sure it was like Gandhi or someone who really smart who said it, but I've said it a million times, is I love you, I bless you, and I set you free. Someone who's really just getting me, right? I'm like, I don't need this anymore. Why am I doing this to myself? Because the old thing, if you give someone a gift and they don't accept it, who's holding the gift, right? Same with anger.
Right.
But you try to give someone anger, they don't accept it, you're holding the anger. So, but I just say, I love you, I bless you, and I set you free. Because
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold on to that anymore. And I bless you on your journey. The other thing I think you said, which I just love so much with that one gal, is, there's so much of that. I found with gals, and it's funny. I started specifically trying to work with men, and it's morphed into to more women. But the love sex conundrum, like there's
Mm-hmm.
seems to be such a challenge with people separating love and sex. Like, I'm going to give you sex because I think that'll give me love, or if I withhold love, withhold sex. There's just that weird thing. And so what you would said about the person who couldn't take emotion or couldn't accept feelings or didn't like to be touched, a physical touch, there's so much locked in that. There's so much deepness when you just, I mean, when you look at babies, newbies, right, that are born like 4 months preemie, and they've discovered just the touch, instead of keeping them in as incubators. This is so crucial to their advancement and their growth, right? So touch is so important to us. And if you just can't accept that, there's something really there, right? That you've got to kind of work your way through.
Yeah. And it really has to do with, you know, uh, the past really can create a loop where we're looping around, looping around, looping around, looping around, looping around. And um, eh, one of the things that I did early on was I studied some with Joe Dispenza, and Joe Dispenza is an amazing neuroscientist, chiropractor. He's done a lot of work on consciousness, and he wrote a book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And there are meditations that go with that book. And that when I have clients when I talk with people that can't afford to work with me, or people that are really struggling with who they are and negativity, I recommend that book and the meditations. I did the meditations and they were 90 minutes in length every day for a year. And it's absolutely life-changing. I made a commitment to do them, and it changed my life. And this was several years ago. The book's been out for a while, and he's since
What's the
written
name? What's the name of the book again? I gotta throw that one on the podcast on the web.
Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Wow. Okay.
And there's meditations that go with it. It's available on Audible. It's really powerful because it speaks to how, for so many of us, the past gets into the present, and that it affects our creation, it affects our well-being, it affects everything. And the past isn't real, the future isn't real. Many of my clients have this thing where they're projecting a possible negative outcome onto the future, or they're worried that they're going to recreate from the past. And that's absolutely, that's the loop. And it doesn't have to be that way. And the commitment, I have a person that I have never coached one-on-one with, but I consider him one of my mentors. He's incredible, incredibly brilliant. And a quote from him is, "Failure to commit is the high cost of low-level living." And that's from Steve Hardison, who's known as the ultimate.
Wow.
And when you think about it, it's a very, very powerful thing, because commitment, and our egos have us chasing shiny things. Look over here, go over here, do this, do that. And so as a result of that, we end up living in what I call doo-doo land, running on the doo-doo treadmill, because we get our value from doing. But that's not where your value lies. Your value lies in who you are, in your being. And so what I teach my clients to do is make a list of what you desire. And I'll use the word want just to get it on paper, what you want or what you desire, because sometimes the distinction is hard for people. Because desire also has a bad rap and a sexual connotation. So sometimes you have to get people past that. And then when you have that list, then you can look at that list and you can go, what can I commit to of these things? Everything, and that does a couple of things. Everything, all those shiny things are parked somewhere. So your ego's not telling you, you're going to forget, what about this, what about that? It's parked. But the other thing it does is it will give you a direction for the course that you're following. So if you say, I'm going, to commit to leading a movement, then who do you have to be to lead that movement? Who do you get to be to lead that movement? And then that gives you the marching orders of what has to be done. So you focus on the desired end result, and then work backwards. And so then the doing comes from the being, rather than from the ego living in doo-doo land. Look what I did today. And if you think about our language and our culture, there's so much around people. Somebody will call you up and say, what are you doing? What did you do today? And I would love it if we started saying, what are you creating today? Who are you being today?
Love it. Love it. Love it. When you talk about you just say voodoo treadmill?
Doo-doo. Doo-doo land.
Doo-doo. That's even better than voodoo. The doo-doo treadmill. Yeah. I won't use that because that's yours, but I love the.
No, you can use it. I'm happy.
But here's where we are, right? I mean, we get up, we do the same thing, we sit down, we get in our car, we sit down, we go to the office, we sit down at lunch, we get back in our car, we sit on the couch, we watch the stupid boob tube, we get programmed, and then we kick the dog, and then we go to bed, and we do it all over again. There's no intention. We're on that doo-doo treadmill, right? We're poisoning our body, we're poisoning our mind. It's like, so how do you, with your coaching, break, years, 30 years, when you're dealing with a 50-year-old, for 30 years, he's been doing that, right? How do you get someone off of that doo-doo treadmill, so quickly?
You have to. So if you're identified with doing and you get your value from doing, then it's a shifting the identity. And so I use some things that are from business to to satisfy the ego sometimes for someone I'm talking with. But essentially, Gary, it's a there's a principle called the Pareto principle that says 80% of the result comes from 20% of the activity. Well, if you know that, then what are you doing that is not moving the needle? And why don't you stop doing that? And why don't you examine why you're doing that? So I teach my clients to use a filter when they're deciding what to do. And I also teach them a to-do list method, which I can share. And it's the filter is the action that I'm considering taking loving and kind of me to me? You know? And if the answer to that question is no, there's no need to go anywhere else. Take it off your list.
Yeah.
The second filter is this moving me closer to what I want to create or further from it? And again, if the answer is no, it gets off the list. So what do you do with the list? Thomas Leonard, who was one of my early mentors, he was the father of the coaching industry early on. There have been many others now who have taken a leadership role because he passed in, I think, 2000, I think it was 2003, no, 2004. But a young man at the time, but he taught to divide your to-do list into 4 categories. So there's stuff that you have to do, like pay your bills, perhaps, unless you have an accounting firm that does that for you. But there's the do it, the stuff that can't be delegated, that you have to do yourself. And then, so like for me, one of those things is my coaching, my one-on-one sessions with people, the classes and the thing, that stays there. I don't delegate that to anyone. And the next category is the do it later maybe. And that's kind of the parking lot for all of the shiny things. And you put those on that list with a date, and you don't move on any of them until you run it through the filter, both filters, and you wait a week and make sure you still think it's a good idea. Because if you wait a week with a lot of that stuff, it's off the list.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third category is the delegated.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I can clean my house. I don't clean my house. It would take me 7 or 8 hours what it takes Lucy and her crew to do in an hour.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the most valuable asset we have is our time. So it's really important that people look at, what am I doing with that? What am I doing with that? I mean, I have people reaching out to me and they go, you can send 50 emails a day and make X number of dollars. I'm like, why would I do that? And I get that for some people that might be attractive and you might want to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do that. And so you have to know yourself. And so we said the do it later maybe, the delegate it, and the fourth category is dump it.
Is what?
Dump it.
Dump it.
That's all the things that you say, I should do this, I should do that. You know, you've been guilted into doing some charity event or something. And I'm like, donate some money. Your time is so much
I think
more
Tony
valuable.
Robbins calls those the shoulds. We should all over ourselves because
Yes, yes,
I should do this, I
exactly.
should do that. We don't want to do that. Get it off the
Yeah,
list, right?
yeah, exactly.
Listen, yeah, we've already blown through an hour somehow, and I don't know how. You're amazing.
Oh,
I
thank
just want to
you.
wrap up and I mean, there's so much more to cover. I mean, when we had our phone call, I left like off the ground, right? I'm like, I can't wait for our podcast. But there's so much. You have so much there. I just want to give you the chance to kind of share. I'm going to obviously put on the website how to reach you, where you are, and your information. But while we're here, just share, so folks, because this is amazing. How can people reach you, and what do you do for people?
I'm on Facebook. That's probably the only social media platform that I pay any attention to. my email is my name at gmail.com. So Karen Vizer at gmail.com or Dr. Karen Vizer at gmail.com. I have both. I do have a link, a Calendly link that I sent to you. I do offer connection and be with sessions for people so that they can get an experience of the work. These sessions are about 75 minutes, 60 to 75 minutes in length. I need a little bit of time to talk about the work and how we're doing it. And I require that people are very intentional, that they come to the session with something they want to be different in their life, and that they come to the session and that they are in a place where they're, one, coachable, and two, in an environment that is safe for them, so that they are free to express themselves without filtering their words. You know how you could be on the phone with someone and you know that they're not in a place where they can talk. And if you're not in a place where you can talk and share freely, you're not going to be able to receive what I have for you. So I do those are complimentary. I have some times, and I'll be adding some more times throughout the month for people. And if anyone resonates with what I've talked about and would like to explore and go deeper, we can do that. It's not a sales call. It's not a sales pitch, because it's an opportunity for you to learn how to work with the energy, for me to work with you, for you to see possibilities for yourself. And then if we both agree that it's a good thing, it's a good fit, it's a good match, we can talk about working together on a separate call.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
not
Well,
it's
anyone, I'm going to put that link on there so people can see
okay.
what you do and reach out to you and see your scheduling and stuff. So you just click on it and see all the stuff. But truly, wow, I mean, there's, like I said, there's so much I want to get to. There's so many questions. You just blow my mind with all this stuff. I mean, I'm just like, the energy, just from the call, I'm just like, and so I can't even imagine the coaching, right? I'd probably have to take it, or I'd go run a marathon. I wouldn't take a nap after our call. I'd go run a 10K after the call because
Well, you might,
you're not.
I mean, everybody's different. Some people do go and exercise afterwards, and some people go flat afterwards. And it's
Because
just,
it's funny when some of the very little work I've done, nowhere near your, nearly 30 years of doing work with people, but I have found that, sometimes people could just be drained, right? And then other people are uplifted. So I could see the majority of your people leave your session feeling like, wow,
yeah.
I feel good, So that's what a gift. I mean, what a gift to be able to give people. That's amazing.
Well, thank you so much, Gary. I really, I love the work you're doing, and I have so much respect for you and for your passion to serve humanity. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to talk with you and to share a little bit of wisdom with your viewers, and hope that it helps someone. And I'm just very grateful. So
Thank you
very,
so much. I'm
very
the one that's
grateful.
grateful, and let's do it again. There's so much more I need to cover.
Absolutely.
All
I'd love
right,
to. I'm
Dr.
down.
Karen Vizer, everybody, and I'm going to post her information when we blow this out and stuff. And please reach out. Obviously you'll see. You'll be glad you did. So, all right, kiddo. I'll talk to you on the other side.
All right. Awesome. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye for now. Thanks again for joining us on another episode of What If You Could podcast. Please subscribe, like, share, and give us any feedback. We'd love to hear it. And remember, if you can dream it, you can do it. See you next time.